3, 2, 1. And we are back. Not going to mention it. We are not live, but I did it. I'm sorry. I don't know what. I don't know what it is. All right. Well, thank you coming back. Thank you for coming back and watching.
Maybe we should just tell anyone, if you're watching these segments, we do a live podcast on Thursday nights when we're in season. So that's why Ryan is a little slow to understand.
Why I say we're live all the time. It's just a natural reaction.
That's like how we start.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's how we start and how we're starting this segment. My name is Ryan. This is AJ. We are Dad Fiction, and we are coming to you in partnership with Daddy's Digest for this segment, which is called Ask a Dad. Okay. Now, if you have the reason we have these segments is, for the most part, we as parents, we're just trying to figure this thing out, and we're working with the resources that we have to figure things out on the fly for the most part. And sometimes things come up, and we don't know how to handle them.
You don't.
Do you want to finish?
No.
And we don't know how to handle them. If you're not AJ, we don't know how to handle them. And a lot of times, instead of just Googling or asking a friend, maybe you just want to watch a video about it and laugh a little bit, and that's why we're here. Okay. The question that we have here seems like a simple one, but there's a lot of variations. Question is, how do you hold a baby? AJ, I'll give you the first one.
Number one, if it's a very small, tiny little baby, support its head and neck. You want to make sure that, because they don't have trapezius muscles, they can't hold their own head up. So you have to support the head and neck so that the baby is comfortable and not like, so you just hold them carefully. As your child gets a little, you got him here. Head, neck goes in this, the bicep to forearm region, if you will. And you cradle, I'm not a tall man, but it'll fit right here across your arm. Hand on the butt, feet kind of dangling. You're fine. Yep. You got a baby. You want to throw this hand in, you're okay. You don't need to do that. As they get a little bigger, you get a little, once you start realizing you're kid and you get a little bit more comfortable with a child, you know what works and what doesn't. I used to drive my ex-wife nuts that when my kids were little, I would hold them under the chin, kind of by the chest, and their legs would be one on each side of the front, I'd hold them kind of like a football. Mm-hmm. And I would just do chores around the house. Actually, it was left hand because I'm right-handed, so I'd have the left hand, and I'd have a baby with my hand on their chest, and their leg on each side, arm on each side, and they'd be smiling like idiots because they'd be so happy because they could see everything. And I would just go about doing the things that make you can't hold them. And he's like, why?
He seems like he's having a good time.
I was like, their neck's strong enough to hold their head up at this point. They're fine. They're happy. Everything's okay. So as long as you're number one thing, protect the head and neck when they're little. Yep. That is very, very important.
First month and a half, 2 months.
Once they can lift their own head and neck, and you'll learn, you're going to get comfortable with your baby as you work on being a parent. But just as long as the head and neck are safe, you're pretty much okay.
And for the most part, you're going to
don't hang a child up by its feet.
For the most part, when they're young and they can't do their whole neck thing, you're going to have the kid swaddled. So you're just holding a basket,
a burrito,
a
baby
full
burrito
of clothes. And burritos, you don't drop.
Probably covered in shit. Let's be honest.
Probably. So there's those, and then when you're old, when the kids are a little bit older and they've got core strength and they've got neck strength, at that point you've already identified your dad arm, which means the arm that you can hold them for 34 hours and not feeling your arm anymore, but it's just that strong. Yeah. And then you're just
it's muscle memory.
You're just holding it and hold and tuck, and the kid can fall asleep here or drape over.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
That is the best. That's my favorite. Is hey, get over there. Right here, just get over there, and we'll deal with it. But you've got the football hold, you've got the cradle hold, you've got the over the shoulder.
Right here, or the facing out,
or the facing.
I was big on the facing out because my kids like to see what was going on. Mm-hmm. So you have the facing out hold. So you're I would literally my son would sit in my hand, and I would hold him as he's resting against my chest and facing out. Yeah. I have massive paws for hands, so I could just hold him there and he wouldn't go anywhere.
And if someone hands you their baby because they're just hey, hold this really quick,
just be extra safe.
Then just hold the baby with 2 hands out here like this.
No, Ryan, don't do that.
Facing out because they will throw up all over you and get
That's not it.
The parent is probably trying to get away to get some spit up off their shoulder.
Ryan, stop.
Just hold the baby out here.
No,
and
that is terrible.
Don't look at it and just don't look at it.
That is really bad advice. If you're holding someone else's baby, be extra cautious.
2 hands at all times.
Yeah, extra cautious. All the fun little tricks you know about your kid and all the fun
you don't know that kid's balance points. No. Or they're ticking.
The center of gravity is different.
Or they're squirming ticks, or they don't telepath.
You never know what kid's going to throw themselves.
Oh, or
kids throw themselves back. You want to protect them.
Or throw their head back and hit you right in the face. Yeah, that's happened a bunch of times.
fucking kid.
Right in the back, right there in the
On
nose.
the bridge of the nose.
Oh, that'll make your eyes water, and you hate everybody,
That'll trigger your murder button.
including that kid.
Oh,
It only takes 9 pounds of pressure to break somebody's nose, and I'm quite sure I got lucky a couple times. But that's it. I mean, that's pretty. That's pretty
straightforward.
You'll figure it out. 2 hands always till you get comfortable. They'll be swaddled, burrito, football, cradle,
No throwing.
or over the shoulder.
No throwing.
Yeah. So super simple. You know what? It seems simple, but it's very I mean, when they gave me my kid for the first time, and Sterling was 6 pounds, and she was super small. It was like a death grip. It was like you couldn't put enough blankets around her to where I wasn't going to squeeze
as sensitive and sturdy as you could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was nervous. Okay, so I was nervous. When I was nervous, I was like, "Oh my God, how do you hold a baby?" Because I had never held a baby before I had my first kid.
Wow,
never.
Could have led with that.
Never done that. But then I was nervous about how do you hold them? Am I going to break them essentially?
Yeah.
And
Lenny,
the second
of Mice and Men.
Yeah, the second the baby came out of my wife. The second the baby came out, and the nurse brought her over to the table
from the vagina.
No, it was from her
I know,
C-section. And they put her on the table to do all the tests and moving her around, moving the baby. And I was like, they're being kind of rough with my baby. And I was like, I won't be doing that. I'll be okay. But they were just whipping and
flipping.
Yeah, it was just throw her up in the air. And like, oh, she's fine. And then they wrapped her like a present and gave her to me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do any of that. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. Hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully it was informative. It was a relatively straightforward question, so you get what you ask. If you have any, you get what you ask. That works, right?
Yeah.
If you have any more questions, go to daddysdigest.com. Ask your question anonymously. It might make it on the show, and you'll get AJ and I telling stupid stories about it and reliving. One of my favorite parts of being a father was getting my daughter for the first time, being the first baby I ever held.
I encourage you to ask, what happens if you are a grown man and you shit yourself in public? How do you handle that as a parent?
It wasn't public, so
there's that.
Clearly there's that. But anyways, go to daddysdigest.com, ask your question, and maybe you'll get on the show. And as always, tell your kids that you love them.